Thanks for joining us. My name is Ibrahim Sani. In the studio right now is a special guest. He is the president of the Republic of Turkiye's president of investment office. He leads that particular office. He is Burak Dağlıoğlu. Burak, thanks very much for taking the time to speak with us. I know it's an exciting moment, not just for Turkey, but of course Malaysia, as we both want to entrench our relationship, bilateral relationship between the two countries. But more importantly, the President Investment Office is also quite important because you're trying to improve on attracting more foreign investors into the office. Maybe you can run through with us the kind of scope or the kind of mandate that the office has.
So thanks for inviting us and giving the opportunity to us. The President's Investment Office was established in 2006. As you may remember, the President Erdogan took the office in 2003 as Prime Minister of the country, and he started making a series of reforms. So one of the reforms was in the field of attracting foreign direct investments to the country, and we liberalized the law in 2003 with an amendment, and then this office was established to attract more foreign direct investments. So what we do is basically we promote the investment environment of the country globally. We have offices in 12 countries. We have a representation in KL as well. And our main job is to facilitate investment procedures for the investors. So
would we be wrong to equate, say, the President of Investment Office with, say, for instance, Invest Malaysia or Invest Lango? It's a state organization. Is that the equivalent?
This is the National Investment Promotion Agency of the country. That's right.
But one thing that is different for your office is that you report straight to the President of Turkey.
Yeah. Because His Excellency gives importance to the the availability of the international investors within the country in various industries. So I think this is a clear indicator of how he positions the international investors.
One thing that is interesting is that you're celebrating your 100th anniversary of the founding of the Republic of Turkey. Do you feel that this is a momentous occasion, but at the same time a kind of rethinking that is needed in terms of what it takes to push to the next, say for instance, 100 years of what Turkey is going to be?
Sure. Actually, we are on a roadshow to Malaysia. So as you said, we are celebrating the centennial of the Republic of Turkey. And we have some ambitious targets for the next century. Up until now, if you look at the achievements of Turkey, especially in the last decade under the leadership of President Erdogan, we become one of the fastest growing economies globally. Since 2003, Turkey grew. The compound annual growth rate of Turkey is 5.4%. So this is a remarkable growth rate. Secondly, Turkey become a regional hub in the region. Like we are at the nexus of Europe, Africa, and Asia, and we are a kind of manufacturing hub for the region. So, of course, for the next century, we have some more ambitious targets. First of all, we would like to be among top 10 economies globally. Secondly, a shorter-term target in the next 5 years, we would like to grow our exports from its current level to $400 billion. Currently, in the last year, Turkey exported $255 billion of goods, so we would like to increase this amount within 5 years. And definitely this growth will be sustainable and green growth. We are committed for sustainable development goals, and our net zero emission target is for year 2053.
What is the energy mix right now when it comes to Turkey?
Actually, our installed electricity generation capacity is 104 gigawatts, and out of that, 54% is renewable as of installed capacity. But if you go back in 2005, in that year we enacted our renewable law. The share of renewables was just 33%. So in 15 years, let's say, or a little over, more than 15 years, we increased the installed share of the renewables by 20%. We believe that this is a big achievement as well.
Okay, let's
maybe
go through
one more target in this regards. Coming back to the Turkiye century, the next century of Turkey, we have ambitious targets for the energy investments as well. By year 2035, I mean in the next 12 years, the share of the renewables will be, the installed capacity will be 65%. So we will increase it by 10% as well. And it means that in the next 12 years, every year we are going to invest in 3 gigawatts of solar capacity, 1.5 gigawatt of wind capacity, and there will be some geothermal and nuclear as well. And another news maybe, we are opening up the offshore wind market as well. So this is a crucial investment area for international investors as well.
So where would it be? Black Sea or?
Yeah, we are defining those areas, so it will be Black Sea and Asian coasts.
It's amazing, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
looking at. Okay, there's a lot that
There are lots of going thing, in Turkey.
No, because taking our view outside of Turkey right now, the geopolitical situation near your area, it's not going to be one of the most, I guess, calm areas to be with. I mean, of course, Turkey is fine, but, you know, we're looking at the Ukraine conflict, Black Sea movement, the grain, for instance, embargo that Russia is self-imposing themselves. All this is going through the gates of Istanbul, for instance. How are you managing this kind of geopolitical situation?
Actually, the political stability and the leadership of President Erdogan is playing a crucial role. So we have been, living in a geography which, had a kind of, instabilities throughout the time. I mean, so we know that there are so many things going on in the south of Turkey, in the east of Turkey, west of Turkey, north of Turkey.
Yeah.
But the thing is, having a kind of strong political leadership and the diplomacy culture. So when we refer to the recent global conditions, like those geopolitical developments, and we just this is the post-pandemic era. It was another crisis or challenge for the all nations as well. So this the key for us to solve those all the issues by diplomacy. And in the recent years, Turkey proven herself as a resilient country in many terms, and one of the key when it comes to the global geopolitical issues, the diplomacy is the key. And from the investor point of view, we are here for more investor perspective. Globally, in many platforms, people are discussing about deglobalization. So regionalization is becoming a more kind of reality. And the efforts of Turkey and President Erdogan is to provide a kind of stable region for the business people, business community. If you look at the recent attempts of Turkey, we are improving our relations with our neighbors, especially in the southern part of Turkey. And we are providing an environment for the countries that they can do business in a wide region without any major crisis and problems. And this is also supported by our international agreements. If you look at Turkey, we are a member of the Customs Union, so it enables companies to do business with those European countries. We have 28 FTAs, free trade agreements, including with Malaysia. And recently, for example, we signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with United Arab Emirates. So our aim is to expand this area by new agreements, by new strong frameworks for the business people. So we are aware that globally there are lots of things in the geopolitics. Now everybody calls it geoeconomics. So we are aware of that, and we are improving the conditions for the business people.
Okay. The thing is, before we started this interview, I have a whole host of orderly questions that I want to ask. But seems like the opening statement has been going on for quite a bit now. So okay. let's rewind a bit in terms of the kind of structured questions I want to go.
I will follow you.
What you went through just now is in terms of the targets, right? In terms of where you want to be in the next, say, 12 years. Let's talk about the reform processes that has been taking place since 2003 and the export and the growth rate that you are experiencing right now. Maybe we can go through in terms of the actual numbers as well, in terms of us mapping the kind of targets that you want to achieve versus what you're achieving right now.
So when President Erdogan took office in 2003, he started liberalizing the economy in many ways, in different industries and verticals. The key was to create a liberal business environment and to integrate with the global economy. So integration with the global supply chains of our businesses was a key, and our policies was to make sure that those businesses are moving up the value chain by producing higher value added goods or services. So the essence of all the reforms was, I think, these liberalization and integration to the global supply chains. Of course, as a result of those reforms, Turkish economy was able to grow at a high pace. As we indicated, the compound annual growth rate since 2003 was 5.4%. And our policies, are resulted in a more agile, flexible, and resilient business environment. This was important in our opinion because if you look at those global economic shocks after 2008 mortgage crisis or European debt crisis in early 2010s, or if you look at the recent pandemic, Turkey was able to recover with a V-shaped growth rate. So after all those global shocks, Turkey was able to grow by double-digit growth rate. So this was phenomenal as well. So one of the important outcomes is also the increasing export volume of Turkey. If you go back in 2002, the share of Turkish exports, among the global exports was around 0.5%. But as of now, it is more than 1%. So our share in the global exports increased.
What about FDI?
Okay, let me finalize the export side.
Okay.
Back in 2003, the exports of Turkey was just 36 billion US dollars. In the last year, it was 255 billion US dollars. And the composition of the exports are also quite crucial. For example, back in 20 years ago, Europe was having 65% of our exports. It is a high share. Now the share of Europe is 55%, and we are exporting to Asia and Africa more. So we also diversified our export markets, which gave us a kind of resilience as well. Back in 2002, the share of Asia was around 14%. Now it is close to 25%. And the share of Africa was less than 5%, and now it is close to 10%. So this is a kind of important strategy for us to export, to all global markets.
Still on an export, the kind of composition within the export then, is it mostly, say, for instance, agricultural products or defense? What would it be? So
currently, it is more industrial goods. So when if we compare it with the 20 years ago, agriculture, the share of agriculture was high, and for the industrial products, the textile was the highest, for example. But when we look at the current composition, it is mainly high and mid-high technology products. And when it comes to sectors, automotive, chemicals, some metals, machinery, consumer electronics and home appliances, agricultural machinery, HVAC, and etc. So it is more industrial, high-tech and mid-high-tech products.
And with this, the kind of bilateral relationships that you're trying to build, particularly in the geographies they're already entrenched, like Malaysia, for instance, or some countries in Africa, what would be the desired effect in terms of trying to increase on the profile or the sectorial output of the exports? Is it still more towards the high manufacturing level? Is it high tech, deep tech kind of exports that you're looking at?
So of course, on the goods side, globally, the businesses are changing. For example, we used to manufacture and export automobiles, but now we have a electrification trend, and we are transforming our industries accordingly. Or if you go to these the devices are at our homes, the home appliances, let's say, now they are more electrified, and they are integrated with the internet and etc. So our policy is to make sure that Turkish businesses are transforming, adapting to the new realities, and in line with those changes, we are targeting for higher, value-added products and services. We are targeting for more tech field. So this is our strategy to create more value-added. Of course, it is not limited to the goods and goods. We have become a major service exporter in the region, especially for the logistics services, IT services, engineering services, and R&D services are leading areas because throughout time Turkey became a regional manufacturing hub, but this manufacturing capability is supported by strong engineering capabilities. If you look at Turkey, currently we have more than 600 multinationals having R&D centers within the country, and these R&D services is not just for Turkish operations, it's for their global operations. And similarly, many multinationals are establishing, especially in the automotive business, their engineering centers in Turkey. They are establishing their procurement offices. They are using Turkey as a regional logistics hub. For their regional training centers, they are choosing Istanbul because of the connectivity provided by the Turkish Airlines. And more importantly, now Istanbul and Turkey has become a management hub for the region. So if you look at those multinationals, they are bringing their different functions in the management, like accounting, marketing, or the senior management roles. So this is a comprehensive strategy for us to be a powerhouse in the next century for the region.
And of course, is this also an indicative market where you want to deepen the bilateral relationship ties? Say, for instance, some markets in Asia, particularly Malaysia, for instance, and Africa. Is that the direction? Meaning, are you reducing your reliance in Europe and some of your NATO member countries, I suppose?
Actually, Europe is still our main trading partner, and it will not change because of our, geography, because of our, history, those tight relations with those integration with the businesses over there, because we are one of the major supplier of many businesses and countries in Europe. But of course, diversification strategy is quite important. There is a huge market globally, and we know that Asia is the center of the growth for the next decades. So we are aware that we have to improve our relations economically with this region, and recently more than 2 years ago we announced a new strategy for our relations with Asia. It's called as Asia ANEW. It is led by our Minister of Foreign Affairs. We definitely give great importance for improving our relations with Asia, and I think it's a clear indicator that in the last 2 decades the share of exports to Asia increased by 10%. So this will definitely continue, and in the recent years we expanded the number of free trade agreements with a few more Asian countries as well. And we are also encouraging international investors, Asian investors, to invest in the country, because this is another way of developing trade relations with such countries. So having bilateral investments pave the road for more bilateral trade.
And of course, the early question that, because there's a lot of power pack conversations here, FDI, let's talk about that right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So where is the FDI coming in from? Is it the same partners that you're building a relationship with? Is it from Asia? Where is the FDI coming into in terms of the sectorial investments?
Okay. Maybe with let's start with a broader approach. Since 2003 up until now, we attracted $255 billion of FDI. So if we compare, this performance before the 2003, we were attracting 0.2% of the global FDI up until 2003. I mean, rough number on a long-term average. Now, if we look at the last 20 years, we attracted almost 1% of the global FDI inflow. So this is 5 times increase. We believe that this is quite successful. And when we look at the again longer term period in the last 2 decades, the major source region was the Europe. So European countries invested in Turkey heavily. The 70% of this FDI came from Europe. The share of Asia is around 14%, 8% for Northern America, mainly United States, and 7% from Gulf countries. While analyzing, we exclude Gulf countries from Asia. I mean, technically it's a part of Asia, but for better analysis, we do it. But there is an important trend. Between 2003 to 2010, share of Europe was 85%, so it was larger. So my point is that, especially in the last decade, Asian companies and countries started discovering Turkey's potential, and now their investments are increasing. Mainly the countries like Japan, Korea and China, they have been investing in our country, and there are different perspectives. For example, because of the Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese companies are showing interest to Turkey, and for Japanese companies, it's a gateway to European market. For Korean companies, it is similar, and especially European market, and also to Northern Africa and Middle East market. So we know that Singaporean companies and Malaysian companies invested a lot in Turkey, and the highest investing country from Asia is Azerbaijan. It is like more than $7 billion because of our historical relations with Azerbaijan. We have some special relations. So when we look at Malaysia, in the last decade, Malaysian companies invested in some specific sectors like healthcare, infrastructure, energy, technology, and financial services. So we know that value of those investments, reach up to $3 billion according to our calculations. We think that this is sizable for such countries.
All right. The relationship between Turkey and Malaysia has always been well entrenched. However, personalities do drive these relationships even more. our current Prime Minister, and your President, President Erdogan, has actually had a very nice relationship over the past few decades. Do you feel that the entrenchment in terms of Turkiye-Malaysia relationship is going to be further deepened in the years to come?
Mm-hmm. First of all, when we talk about Turkiye-Malaysia relations, we have to thank Malaysia, state of Malaysia, Malaysian companies and individuals, citizens, because of their recent support after the earthquake which happened in February. And Malaysia supported Turkey with all in-kind supports, cash supports. And more importantly, they sent 2 rescue teams. Malaysia sent 2 rescue teams. They saved many lives in the earthquake zone. And Malaysia established a field hospital, which was really crucial at that time. And Malaysian Prime Minister visited Turkey just after the earthquake. He visited, His Excellency visited the earthquake zone. And we also knew that His Excellency, the King, made a speech at the Parliament. During the opening speech, he mentioned about this earthquake, and there was a moment of silence, in the memory of the victims. So we have to thank Malaysia for their support and response after the earthquake. When we look at the overall relations, recently our bilateral relations was improved to comprehensive strategic relations level. So it shows, the position of the relations between 2 countries. Of course, personalities are driving those relations strongly. President Erdogan and the leaders of Malaysia have been having a very strong, tight relation. But in my opinion, this is now beyond that level. I mean, institutionally, we have a framework to continue our relations on a comprehensive strategic level. And we have been cooperating in many areas, especially in the recent years. We see that defense is a major area that we have cooperations. Many defense companies of Turkey has established presence in Malaysia, and they are creating value here. And we also know that the trade volume of between 2 countries, showing the level of relation. As of last year, we had $4.7 billion of trade volume, and we believe that this can be improved further. And of course.
Yeah, I mean, when I had some of your colleagues here, they are from the Turkish aerospace industries, AWANI, for instance, Eurotai. These are companies that are.
They have presence here, right?
They have presence here, and that trying to deepen the conversation in terms of how we can entrench our defense capabilities as well. And of course, it's important for us to talk about the trade and the other industries and manufacturing sector. But one must not forget that defense also brings about manufacturing, skills transfers, technology transfers, and many more. Where do you feel the direction is going to be like when it comes to the defense strategy for both Turkey and Malaysia?
For defense, of course, this is a very specific vertical, and this is a very strategic vertical, and we see that Turkish companies are quite committed for bringing their capabilities to here, and they would like to enhance those relations, not only for a kind of classical marketing perspective, but also creating value, developing products, and making a production in Malaysia. And in my opinion, Malaysia is also playing a similar role for the region. Malaysia is a hub to access a wider region. And in my opinion, these relations in defense and in other areas can be extended to the region through Malaysia, from Malaysia.
Okay, we don't have much time left, but I still want to go through some of the key questions, maybe some short responses from you. Financial instruments and the Istanbul Financial Center. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more there.
Sure. In Turkey, we have a very vibrant financial sector. With the 2003, after the President Erdogan's term, we had some major reforms in banking area as well. We have a very strong and solid banking and capital market regulation. So in Turkey, you can find all those instruments, and investors can invest in those instruments, and they can get a really strong banking and capital market services within the country. Important products or instruments for an organization like me. I mean, we are on the FDI side, and those alternative investment products are quite important for enabler of the FDI projects. What I'm referring is private equity funds, venture capital funds, and the real estate investment funds.
And this ties in with my second question, which is on tech entrepreneurship ecosystem in Turkey.
Okay.
how does that help grow the tech ecosystem there, and how do you envision companies in Malaysia, for instance, or VCs in Malaysia?
In Turkey, we have a very strong culture of entrepreneurship, and Turkish entrepreneurs are able to develop services and products which are globally competitive. And we believe that good mentorship and access to funding is crucial for the success of those startups. As a Presidency Investment Office, as Invest in Turkey organization, we have been supporting startup ecosystem of Turkey to make sure that enough funding is available within the ecosystem. So just to give you, a few examples, last year, for example, the early stage investments to those technology ventures was around $1.6 billion, and it was similar in year 2021. And as you know, last year there was a global slowdown in the tech investments. Despite that slowdown in Turkey, we continued, the investments in the technology field because of the vibrant technology entrepreneurship ecosystem. So if you look at Turkey, recently we had 6 unicorn in e-commerce, online delivery, online gaming, and we will see in some other verticals like fintech. So we invite companies to invest in Turkish startups. So another important issue is we are bringing international venture capital funds to meet with Turkish startups through different delegations or events. And we are taking Turkish startups to global stages. In our region, there are some landmark events for the startups, and we are taking our Turkish startups to reach out to the investor community. And globally, we have a global practice of venture capital fund, and we also have a local legislation for that. And in the recent years, the number of local venture capital funds are increasing. Turkish corporates, high net worth individuals, families are investing in those venture capital funds.
So family offices are also...
Yeah, and because of this trend, because of the growing funding availability, entrepreneurs, founders from other countries in our region are coming to Turkey established for their businesses.
So it's becoming a hub?
Yeah, sure. Even from developed markets like from Germany, from UK, you can see founders are coming to Turkey to establish their businesses because of the vibrant business environment, because of availability of funding, and talent is also another important factor, because when you create a startup, you rely on abilities of talented people, and in Turkey they are able to access to talent.
If people want to learn more about the President Investment Office right now, how do they reach out to you?
So they can reach out to me by any means, like we have our open communication channel through our webpage. They can reach me on social media platforms like LinkedIn, and I'm always available through all telephones, emails, and etc. But for our investors in Malaysia, we have our colleague responsible for KL, so they can reach out to our office through our colleague here.
Thank you very much. That was Burak Dağlıoğlu, the Republic of Turkey President Investment Office. He leads that office there. Joining us. If you want to learn more, just head off there. For the time being, if you want to learn more about the resources on Turkey and Malaysia, head on to astro.awani.com. My name is Ibrahim Sani. Catch you in the next one.